For nearly a decade, the CIA and the New York City Police Department have teamed up to evade the laws and infiltrate groups, mostly Arab American, nearly all law-abiding, on the pretext of counterterrorism necessity. That's the result of a startling investigation conducted by and reported today by the Associated Press. In the fourth story in the countdown, a mini CIA operating inside the NYPD, and civil liberties and laws against racial or religious profiling be damned. Using community mapping techniques, police with specific ethnic backgrounds known as rakers monitor bookstores, bars, cafes. Pakistani-American officers would infiltrate Pakistani neighborhoods. Arab officers would focus on Arab neighborhoods. Within the department, these officers became known as, quote, the demographic unit. Police also pressured locals to become informants or, quote, mosque crawlers, with directives to monitor religious sermons. Cab drivers and food cart vendors were routinely spied upon. This under the direction of the CIA, which is forbidden by law to spy domestically, even though here it would have been doing exactly that. As part of the overall effort, the NYPD also runs intelligence division offices in 8 countries outside the U.S., gathering information on terrorism in an effort to get ahead of any threat to New York. A spokesman for the NYPD told the Associated Press that police only follow leads and do not actively spy on citizens, that there are no rakers, there are no crawlers. There are also no expressions of remorse. The quote, the New York Police Department is doing everything it can to make sure there's not another 9/11 here and that more innocent New Yorkers are not killed by terrorists, and we have nothing to apologize for in that regard. New York citizens are not the only ones who've been kept in the dark about this. The City Council, which finances the city's police force, and the federal government, which contributes millions of taxpayer dollars to the department each year, is not told what's going on. The 2010 budget for the intelligence unit said to be $62 million. Joining me now, Matt Apuzzo, the reporter from the Associated Press, who with his colleague Adam Goldman exposed this program. Thanks for some of your time tonight, sir.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Keith.
It isn't germane to the legality, but do you know, did they find anything?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know that it's up for a great bit of discussion. Yeah. That the NYPD's intelligence division has played a crucial role in keeping the city safe and preventing potential plots. I mean, they were instrumental in heading off the Herald Square subway case ahead of the Republican National Convention, and they played a pretty crucial role in their undercover operations. In fact, played a pretty crucial role in arresting two men who were on their way to Somalia to train with Al-Shabaab. Both cases led to convictions or guilty pleas. So, I mean, that part of it isn't really up for debate. That they are doing work that protects the city.
Mm-hmm. Wait, do we know? Were you able to find out? Was there any threshold before an infiltration was planned? I mean, was there any possible cause necessary, let alone probable cause?
Well, I think it was a moving target, and I think it maybe waxed and waned over the years. You know, right when after the 9/11 attacks, when the CIA first sent their officer up to the NYPD to help oversee and direct and kind of mentor the NYPD in this intelligence gathering, I mean, it was kind of scattershot. In one instance, they said to the taxi cab commission, just give us the list of all the Pakistani cab drivers you have so we can look for people who maybe got their badges fraudulently, see if we can maybe leverage that into an informant situation. So, you know, in another instance, they just said, go out into Pakistani neighborhoods and just use anything you can to make a traffic stop. You run a red light, you got to bust a tail light, whatever, and then use that to say, are there warrants outstanding? Is there anything we can do to leverage that into an informant situation? I think the NYPD moved past that in a lot of ways as they created, you know, what was known as the demographics unit, and as the informant program kind of matured inside the NYPD.
Is this, after having studied this as carefully as you guys did in this remarkable story today, is it your conclusion that the CIA end of this constituted Central Intelligence domestic spying by proxy, in effect?
Well, it's a fascinating issue, I mean, without question. So the CIA is not allowed to spy domestically, and in this instance, somebody on detail from the CIA to New York while on CIA payroll, who had an office at the CIA station and an office at the NYPD, was overseeing and directing and mentoring the collection, and that collection at times did get passed back channel to the CIA. But I mean, I don't know that there's, and I think the way we said it was the wall certainly between domestic and foreign intelligence certainly became more porous. The bright line certainly got a little blurrier. I mean, I'm no lawyer. We know what we know, as they say, but it certainly did muddy the waters a little bit.
Do we have any evidence that they ever infiltrated groups that weren't, say, Pakistani groups, Arab groups, or were there any Irish American groups or Italian American groups or German American groups infiltrated?
Not that we know of, but I mean, the vast majority of the people we interviewed and who talked to us about these programs, including those who are directly involved in the programs, I mean, they talked to us because they said, look, this is what we need to be doing, and we're keeping the city safe, and we have a mandate for that. And when I raised that question with them, I mean, almost to a person, they said, look, if 9/11 was committed by the IRA, you bet we'd be in Irish neighborhoods. You bet we'd be in Catholic churches. And so I think there's a real feeling that at the NYPD that look, New York is different. We had 9/11, and at the CIA as well. I mean, the CIA said, look, it should be no surprise that we're having a more in-depth relationship with the NYPD post 9/11 than we were beforehand.
Well, Matt Apuzzo of the Associated Press, who broke this story, joining us from Washington. Again, great reporting and great thanks for some of your time on a busy day for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Attorney General of the United States meeting with 9/11 families 18 days before the 10th anniversary to discuss whether or not their phones were hacked by Rupert Murdoch's news organization. A member of one of those families in that meeting today joins me ahead on Countdown.